Here, let me check it. I'm gonna be nice, just in case. Okay. What up? What up? What up? I'm the host here, Dusty Boaz Henry. Boaz standing for the believer of the Alpha and the Omega. Henry standing for high earning, not rich yet. I don't think, but I'm still Dusty. Okay, all right, here we go. We got the superstar KD. Thank you for joining. And we got the lovely high IQ Coco D over here. Oh, man. What's your IQ today? 600 or something? Ooh.
Oh my.
So
Well,
I want to know. I got a question. Why is the passport bros a thing? Why? How? When I think about, I'm going to use the same term. When I think about the melanin absent man, he been going over and getting them little Asian little hot little things and traveling, bringing over the foreigner,
Yep.
and it wasn't called the passport bros then. Why, when the black man goes to seek happiness, does it one get a hashtag and a meme of a name, and number two trigger a large percentage of our beautiful African American ladies? Coco D, you the lady. The ladies always got to go first. Lay it on. What you got?
ooh, ladies first. Ladies first. Okay. Um, so the first part of your question, why are they triggered? Well, actually, I think the first part was this has been happening a while. Why is it different when black men do it? And then the second part is
Yes.
why are they triggered? So it's not different when black men do it. I think the only difference I have seen, and I'm not going to stereotype. I'm going to say there is a incel section of the manosphere community. I'm trying to use my words carefully. There's a small subsection of like the manosphere community that talks about the passport, process and dating outside. That's all fine and dandy. I think where they run into, triggering women and they get upset is the difference with white men or other races when they do it. You don't hear them come on public platforms and talk negatively about the women in their same ethnic group. I think that's the difference. There's a small percentage of men who do that, the same way there's a small percentage of loud black women who are divestors. I think that's the term they call themselves, um, that talk disparagingly and negatively about black men. So these are small groups, but they're loud. So I think those sound bites and clips have affected the masses who now get triggered because of their failures in dating and lack of being able to sustain like relationships and a whole other list of things that you could see happening from a lot of it's mindset for real. Because I mean, I have these discussions with friends, family members, and yeah, feminism has just this whole being bragging about being independent is where the first failure. I've never heard other women in other races brag about being independent and not needing a man. So I think it started there. So it's a symptom, it's a generational thing that has plagued black women. And so the passport bros is just the latest trigger. That's all. It's like a symptom of a mindset that's been failing the black population, unfortunately, especially women. So, Yeah, I don't have a problem with passport bros personally. So because again, there's a small section of this population. I've had the pleasure of working with some of these types, and again, I'm stereotyping just this small group. They might lack. There's no nice way to say it. A lot of these guys are the men that black women have rejected. Let's just call a spade a spade. Um, the ones that come out very bitter. Now, in other cases, I've heard men just talk about, hey, I'm not finding what I need here, so let me go where I'm celebrated versus being tolerated. I feel like people should go and be merry and do what makes them happy.
See,
Stand on business.
I think we've talked about this before, but I'm like, I think, I think it's a cultural thing, right? So in America, I feel like, and I'm not even gonna narrow this down to black women. Just women in general are entitled, and you have some that are looking for a traditional kind of relationship archetype, where they're willing to kind of submit to the male, but uh, like gender roles is not a thing in this country anymore. So like they don't want to play their part. They want the man to do the man things, but they don't want to do the female things. I was married to somebody that didn't cook, barely clean, and expected me to just give her money. Like, what the, well, and didn't want to work. I'm like, well, what are you gonna, you got to bring something to the table. You know, Vagina
You
ain't enough.
can't you can't use the S word when
The S word.
talking about our sisters. How dare you?
Words are like bullets.
Submit is not in submit accountability. I'm sorry.
It's a very
I
American thing.
messed up. Though that's like oil and water. Black women and those, not all.
Right.
Dusty doesn't
Not
make
all.
blanket statements. I will say
So,
a
so
large
Katie,
percentage of them.
so Katie, what you're talking about is why men choose to go outside, right? Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I think, like I said, largely I think it's a cultural thing. Like still in other parts of the world, they're very traditional,
Hmm.
conservative in their approach to the male female just interaction with each other. So, if you have a type A personality male in America, they can go over there and get somebody that's gonna kind of do what they do what they want.
Want them to do. Yeah,
Yeah.
As
I agree.
as the ones that are triggered say, you're gonna go over there and get you a little slave, a little girl.
It ain't free. This shit ain't free
I
now.
mean,
You
listen,
got to take care of their whole family when you get them.
you
So
too. I mean, my
you
dad,
sign
dad
up for
didn't
some
have
shit when you get
that
them.
directly, but yeah, you know,
Well,
it's
look. You
what's
you
that?
taking it out of the context, sir. Okay, look. You and I. Let me just speak about me. Dusty, you can't handle a strong black woman. Okay? You broke, you're dusty, you're ugly. What else they say? Your privates, they barely seeable. What else they throw at you? You bald
So,
headed, you
let
overweight.
me ask y'all both this. So you don't know how many like dainty, feminine, soft black women do you know? Because you said strong black woman, so I'm like, what's the opposite of that, right?
That question is for you. That wasn't for me.
That's for anybody.
Oh.
It's crickets.
I answered
That's
it.
what did you say?
Nothing.
Wow. Wow.
You know what I find funny though? You know what I find funny is that maybe this is just my perception, my perspective, but men will go over and they'll get like they'll for instance, they'll go to an Asian country, they'll bring back an Asian woman, they'll have children with that Asian woman, and those children will grow up to be entitled Americans. They don't carry the same culture that like their mother does or their back home. Like they come up, they grow up with the same values, American values, that the independent, all that stuff. And they end up having issues finding people as well. So
I heard one YouTuber
I'll
say
give
that
you one.
Western society was toxicity in itself.
Yeah, yeah. I'll give you one I think that happens a lot. And maybe I'm just in a bubble and an anomaly or exception. Um, so like my dad was an immigrant. My mom was very traditional Southern. Like my grandmother never worked. She was a homemaker. Her sisters, I want to say at least three or four of my aunts didn't work. So I grew up where in this black, almost, is it Mulberry-esque kind of town where you can show up at anybody's house and get a pie. There's some beans on the stove, green, that old school kind of environment. And talking to a lot of women, I recognize that they didn't have that. A lot of them did not see a man providing and the woman's the home. That whole traditional role. But as having like an immigrant parent or one of my parents being an immigrant, they kind of force that and you get both sides. So you kind of hear I was more brainwashed, like you don't want to be like these I want to say American women in that regard, especially during like the 90s. You know what? It was this pivoting term when it was like hip hop started going, I'll say downhill. And then when
Ratchet.
I went, oh, I see what they were talking about. But that was when I was probably like, I would say high school, college. You start to
Right.
see it. Prior to that, I'm like, we are living, sing. I'm all in the, we're independent. Boosie, all of that prior to seeing it. So I think you're right that Western culture is gonna it's hard for parents to like separate that because they have everything around them, the movies, the television, even the education is orienting them towards toxicity. I don't even know any other way to say it. Telling people there's no gender roles is setting them up for failure because at the end of the day, there's certain things I'm not saying women can't do every job, but there has to be order and balance.
and I'll say this. I'm not opposed to an independent woman. I'm not opposed to that. Like to me, a relationship is a partnership, right? I one person shouldn't be expected to do any one thing. Like it's supposed to be teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work. So, you know, if you could do things together, I think that builds a stronger relationship. But when you start expecting people to do certain things, that's where you're going to run into trouble anyway. So it shouldn't have to
I
be the woman cooking all
expect
the
you to
time. You
stay
both can do it.
back in America and get you a strong black woman. I expect that you take care of her so that she don't have to work and that she can live off of you. I expect that you're going to provide a roof over her head, buy her a Mercedes, and if she doesn't take care of herself, I expect you to stay committed, monogamous, and don't dare mention the passport bros.
Yeah, I don't know. I always I find it troubling with the term independent because you don't how many men walk around saying I'm independent?
How many of our melanin absent sisters walk around talking about they independent? How many
Nobody.
Hispanics talking about they
I've
independent?
never
How many
I've never
Africans
heard
talking
it.
about they
Have y'all
independent?
heard it? Have y'all heard them make songs and,
Hmm.
Destiny Child anthems and stuff?
It's
We ain't gonna
expected
talk about
for
making
us to be
songs
independent.
because the main ones that they follow: Angie Stone, Beyonce, and whoever they follow, Sierra. They
Hmm.
all got husbands.
Exactly. Even Cardi B, even the as hypocritical as she is, she's married allegedly.
She
I
go
guess
home to
still.
her husband.
Yeah. Yeah.
But y'all out here living your best life, hot girl summer, standing on foolishness. Oh, is that not the motto of 2023?
Standing on business. Every time I hear that, I just think of T.I.'s son. That clip, it just sends me. This is
Standing
the
on
thing though.
foolishness.
I stand in a lot of foolishness. This is the thing though. It's a deeper issue. I'm gonna bring it back to a few years ago. I was walking in the mall and I never forget seeing this ad and I was now this is gonna come out real. What I'm about to say is gonna be horrible. Okay, but it's the truth. I was living in LA, all right?
Okay.
And I never forget walking through the mall, and you know how there's advertisements in the windows, and we see a very, very large woman in like a bikini. I think it was like a bikini or G-string. And they made it a point when you walked into the mall, like this is the first thing you see. And all the fat rolls, everything is there. Okay. And I remember my friend and I, we both looked at each other and she said, Are she's like, is this appealing to us? Is that gonna make me go and buy what she's wearing? Or is this attracting men to go and buy it? And we both looked at each other like, I don't think it's doing what they think it's gonna do, which is which is um yeah, it's no nice way to say it. It's like we can't change male attraction. And this is not a race thing. This is all men. I haven't heard them, go like, oh, Lizzo or Precious. I forgot her name, but the actress that played Precious. We're trying to change attraction. I see it starting in schools with all this positivity. So you got to
Mhm.
understand there's a whole generation of women who came up from middle school being told they're a 10, they're a dime, they think they're Beyonce. They think they actually believe they're the same. They can, I don't want to say it that way, but yeah, they feel like they're at the same level. If you want to use Beyonce or who else, y'all name whoever, all the other Instagram women or whatever.
Megan
Megan
Good.
Good.
Yeah, yeah. So this is the passport bro thing is, I think it triggers a lot of people because it's like, wait a minute, I'm not a 10. I can't, you don't want, it's almost like widespread rejection that I think some women internalize it and because of how it might be impacting their personal lives. They might be striking out and seeing this on the internet could be triggering for them because they're not getting the results that they want. That's me trying to just put an objective look at the emotional state because some of the things I hear people say are just stupid and dumb. But I think it goes back to men see they can make other choices and
Mm.
I'm telling women, well, either you compete and step your game up because if you don't have what he wants to buy, he's gonna go buy it somewhere else, and vice versa. Women ain't out here standing for Ruben Studdard. He lost weight, by the way, but same thing. I it doesn't work the same way. I don't remember them putting a 400-pound man on the cover of GQ or Sports Illustrated, but that's just me being
I think you
logical.
said it very eloquently. When they wake up and they realize they're no longer even in the race of the competition anymore when they are not even a sought out. Nothing about them is even sought out because you don't want the constant conflict. You don't
Yeah.
want the other things. You don't want the lack of accountability. You don't want the lack of femininity, uh, the lack of traditions, or at least the respect of traditions. You know, the when you go to a public place, a restaurant of all places, and start twerking on tables, and you look like you're a good 325, 350. I don't even want to be related to you. I don't want to be related to you. I don't want to know you. I don't want to know anybody that knows you.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, the women
if
definitely have that to be accountable for, which, but I'm gonna also put this on the men. Okay.
okay,
So,
I'm ready to accept my
oh,
responsibilities.
hey, it's both ways. So that's we got the women, they got to be accountable on that. The men's prop, well, I don't want to say all the men. This community that we're talking about, the issue goes, as my hubby says, a lot of these guys are trying to outkick their coverage. Your insurance premium qualifies you for, maybe a Ford Explorer. You trying to go after the Rolls Royce. You way past. And when you apply that to dating, they now see the internet and all this plethora of choices that you don't qualify for. And then when they go and try to get these women, they get played over and over and over again because they're leading with money. I don't care if it is a person from overseas, they see
Yeah,
dollars
you,
first and they come, and
yeah,
so women are just highlighting that out of frustration, like, oh, here's this socially awkward guy thinking he's going to go to Colombia or the DR, and he's going to end up with the same results if he would have had a black woman or an American woman. In some cases, leading with the wallet, that's all. Because women can read that a
Well,
mile away.
the thing is though, we all try to bat out of our own class, right? Like we always like
Do we?
I think so. I think men is always gonna be
hypergamy.
they're gonna be more attracted to the one that he has that he probably shouldn't be talking to. But the female is probably gonna, realistically is probably gonna do the same thing, right? Like if she has a choice, now if she gets scorned, then then maybe she'll like step it down and you know accept something else. But you see younger women with older men all the time for that money, so like the women gravitate towards the
Security.
security.
Word is
There you go.
security. So
Yeah,
with men, the men who have means understand, as my dad used to tell me, it's a financial transaction.
yeah,
Because of the money, I can afford to have this model super or this level of beauty.
yeah.
It doesn't work the same way with women. I mean, with vice versa. But from the passport bro standpoint,
It's
I
the
think
same
that's where
shit.
the maturity. Yeah, it's to me that it goes with the maturity. So think about this. Give an example. How many doctors' wives, and too bad Trey isn't on because we have a lot of classmates that are in this. Well, anyway, how many doctors' wives, and I'm not saying, I'm saying agnostic to race, so just outside of the black community, would you say fit supermodel category, professor, people in the upper, just the working class that are high, what do you call them, Henrys?
High earner, not rich yet.
Yeah.
How many?
How many?
I
How
would
many
So
say
I'm
a
don't?
lot
saying,
of them.
if you wanted to like say, all right, would you say most of their who they choose would be in the top range, or would you say more average?
I think they still aim up. They
Okay.
wanna they wanna be with somebody that is earning more than them, or at least on par with them. You'll see some that go down, but I don't think it's a norm at all. Like the
He
successful
talking.
women are looking for more successful men. I don't, it, unless you're saying something different.
Yeah, I see the
She
opposite.
talking about the husbands and their wives. What do their wives look like according to what they make?
Or their
Oh,
careers. Because somebody has to be, you can't, so if that person's a doctor, a politician, lawyer, somebody has to be home with the kids or the family.
Yeah.
what if you're both doctors? You're just gonna get a
Yeah,
nanny.
yeah. I know a couple situations like that too.
Yeah. Like when you got money and you can pay for somebody to do something, like they don't necessarily give up their livelihood. Like you don't see that often. I don't think you see that in America.
Hmm.
Like they're gonna keep their profession as well.
So what do you think is going to happen with this? The internet has afforded people choices, whereas 30, 40 years ago, your dating pool would have been limited to, your region, right? So do you think that it's going to get worse and it's going to just be a divide, or you think black women, well, since we're talking about black women, right, with the passport bros, do you think there's going to be like this cultural shift back to, you know, back towards the center, maybe?
I think we're all gonna keep mixing and mingling, and ultimately, it's not gonna matter. I think far enough down the line, there aren't gonna be any. There isn't gonna be any reason to even have this debate because we're all just gonna be mixed and mingled.
Yeah. The next. Yeah. I think the next discussion we're gonna have to discuss whether or not marriage is even a real thing anymore. You know, and we're gonna have the married to tell us because if our youngsters are looking at the celebrities and following their lead as their examples, as their Huxtables, and the celebrities are getting divorced because it's a Tuesday, what are we really promoting and selling by telling us that we should come together under a unified contract that's one sided?
One-sided towards the
If
woman?
one party decides to leave, the other party is going to have to pay.
Well, hopefully people get prenups.
Hmm.
It ain't working for Jeezy. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Hit that notification bell. We got the beautiful Coco D. Thank y'all. Thank you. Thank her with her beautiful self and the high IQ of 784 tonight. The lovely Coco D. The strong yet faithful. The tried and true superstar KD with the new do. Loving the new do, by the way. Swole, the mine is hanging down here. Dusty Boaz Henry, Boaz standing for the believer, the Alpha and the Omega. Z representing the last letter in the alphabet. Henry standing for high earning, not rich yet. But I'm going to be Dusty. I'm still going to be Dusty. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Let us know that you're out there. We love y'all. We out. Peace.